Hi, it's Chris. In this video, we're going to show you how to remove and reinstall the pressure switch on your Whirlpool built washer. Removing or reinstalling the pressure switch is actually quite easy and only requires a few basic hand tools. Keep in mind if your machine needs to be repaired, it's usually simple enough to do it yourself. Visit PartSelect.com, enter your model number, and quickly find and order the part you need. Some of the reasons why you may have to remove and replace the pressure switch is if you find that sometimes the washer is starting to overflow, the water level is getting too high, or that the tub fills up with water but nothing else happens after that. The pressure switch is not switching over to the full mode and allowing the motor to run. In those cases, you'll want to replace the pressure switch. So the first thing we're going to want to do in order to remove the pressure switch is, of course, unplug the machine simply by removing the plug from the wall, disconnecting the power from the machine for your safety. And then the next thing we want to do, of course, is turn off our taps, because we're going to be removing the hoses from the back of the console where the valve is. So just need a pair of pliers to loosen off the hoses to your washer. Now these hoses may have some water in them, so you'll need to just have a bucket or a towel handy so when you disconnect them you can catch a little bit of water that's in them. So my next step is basically just to put a drop cloth, a towel, or something on top of the machine so I can set my tools in place to make sure that I don't scratch or damage the machine. So first thing I want to do is pull the knob off the pressure switch, take hold of the knob itself, and just pull straight out away from the console. And we'll set that there. So now we're going to go to the back of the console and remove a few screws. So you can see the reason we had to remove the hoses from the valve is because we want to take this back plate off the console. So we're just going to need, you can use either a blade screwdriver or a 1/4-inch nut driver. So there's 4 screws we're going to remove. This is the first one. It just covers this plate. Take it off and set it to one side. So now we're just going to remove these 3 screws. Now we can just take hold of the panel and it just drops out. And that gives us access to the pressure switch itself. So there's our pressure switch. Now to remove it, it's actually really easy. They don't hold it in place with any screws. It's simply a matter, and I'll show you on the new one. So basically the switch is mounting into a square opening in that console, and it just goes in and it's rotated to lock in place. So to remove it, we're going to do the same kind of situation where we're going to rotate it but pull it out. And then we'll disconnect the wiring harness, and we'll be disconnecting a hose that goes on here, which is where the air comes up through in order to activate the switch. So I'm just going to take hold of the pressure switch and I'm going to rotate it counterclockwise, and that should free it. And out it comes. So now that we have it out, we can see where our air line is that comes up and attaches to the pressure switch. So we're just going to pull that off. There we go. And now all we have left to do is simply to disconnect the wiring harness, which is simply just by gripping it and just wiggling it straight backwards to pull it off. So now with everything disconnected, we can simply remove the pressure switch. So now we're going to install the new pressure switch. And to do it is just as easy. It's just a reversal of the process we used when we removed the old one. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually attach the pressure hose to the switch, just because the space is a little confining and it's just easier to have that free to install it. So all I need to do is just bring the switch in and push the hose on into place. And I push it on right till it's up tight against the pressure switch. So now I'm going to connect my wiring harness, and it simply just pushes on. And you can see that it only will go on one way. If you try to attach it this way, it won't even go in. So you just turn it over and push it into place. And now we're all set. We're just going to insert the little square here in the front into the square hole in the console and then rotate it into place. So now we insert the switch so that the hex lines up with the opening, and then you just do that rotation and it locks into place. So the knob easily inserts just by pushing on, and all you need to do is line up the flat part of the shaft onto the flat of the switch. Just line those up and then simply slide the knob onto the shaft. Great! So now we just put our back panel on, put our screws in, slip on the other cover, now that the cover's on, we may as well attach our hoses. Snug them up with our pliers so we don't have any leaks. Plug in our washer. So there you go. You can see just how easy it is to replace the pressure switch in your Whirlpool built washer.